In 2011, Netflix was on the verge of collapse. Millions of users were leaving the platform. The company's stock price had dropped by more than 70% in just a few months. Analysts, investors, and the media all agreed on one thing: Netflix was finished. At the time, it was one of the most hated tech companies in America. Customers felt betrayed, the press mocked its leadership, and competitors were ready to take its place. Today, Netflix is one of the most powerful media companies in the world, shaping how billions of people consume entertainment. So how did a company that nearly destroyed itself manage to survive and dominate an entire industry? This is the story of Netflix's biggest mistake, the moment it almost died, and the decision that changed everything. Netflix did not begin as a streaming platform. In the late 1990s, home entertainment was controlled by physical stores. Blockbuster was the undisputed leader. If you wanted to watch a movie, you drove to a store, browsed the shelves, and hoped the movie you wanted was still available. Late fees were part of the business model. Customers hated them, but they had no alternative. Netflix saw an opportunity. Instead of physical stores, it offered DVD rentals online, delivered directly to people's homes by mail. No stores, no late fees, just convenience. At first, the idea seemed insignificant. Blockbuster ignored it. From their perspective, Netflix was a small experiment that posed no real threat. But Netflix kept growing, slowly at first, then faster. By focusing on user experience instead of penalties and inconvenience, it built a loyal customer base. As internet speeds improved, Netflix saw another opportunity: streaming. This was a radical idea at the time. Watching movies instantly online sounded unreliable and unnecessary to many people. But Netflix understood something crucial. Technology was changing faster than habits. They invested heavily in streaming infrastructure while still running their DVD business. For a while, this hybrid model worked. Then came 2011. Netflix made a decision that would nearly destroy the company. The leadership believed that DVDs and streaming should be separated into two different services. Streaming would remain under the Netflix brand. DVD rentals would become a new company called Quickster. The logic seemed sound internally. Two different businesses, two different strategies. But from the customer's perspective, it was a disaster. Prices increased overnight. The user experience became confusing. Customers were forced to manage two accounts, two websites, and two subscriptions. There was no clear benefit for the user, only more friction. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Millions of subscribers canceled their accounts. Social media exploded with criticism. Netflix's stock collapsed. Investors panicked. Analysts questioned the company's leadership. The brand that once symbolized convenience became a symbol of arrogance and bad decision-making. For many companies, this would have been the end. But Netflix did something rare. Instead of doubling down, it admitted it was wrong. The CEO issued a public apology. Quickster was canceled. The company acknowledged that it had underestimated how much customers valued simplicity. This moment was painful, but it was also transformative. Behind the scenes, Netflix began to rethink its entire identity. It stopped seeing itself as a DVD rental business and stopped seeing itself as a streaming platform. Instead, Netflix began to see itself as a media company. This shift in mindset changed everything. Up until that point, Netflix depended on content owned by others, movies and shows licensed from studios. But licensing was expensive and unstable. Content could disappear at any time, and competitors could outbid Netflix for the same titles. So Netflix made one of the boldest decisions in its history. It decided to create its own original content. This was a massive risk. Producing original shows required enormous investment. If the content failed, Netflix would not just lose money. It could collapse entirely. In 2013, Netflix released its first major original series, House of Cards. Instead of releasing episodes weekly, Netflix released the entire season at once. This went against traditional television logic. But Netflix wasn't guessing. It had something no other media company had at that scale: data. Netflix analyzed user behavior obsessively. what people watched, when they paused, when they stopped watching, which actors attracted attention, which genres kept people engaged. House of Cards was not just a creative decision, it was a data-driven one. The result was a success. The show attracted millions of viewers, critics praised it, and suddenly, Netflix was no longer just a distributor, it was a creator. This success triggered a chain reaction. Netflix doubled down on original content. It invested billions into films, series, and documentaries. Not all of them succeeded, but enough did. Competitors tried to follow, but they were years behind. Netflix had already built the infrastructure, the data systems, and the global audience. Most importantly, Netflix had learned how to adapt faster than anyone else. While other companies protected their legacy models, Netflix was willing to destroy its own business before someone else did. The company understood a brutal truth. In technology and media, comfort is dangerous. Netflix survived because it embraced change early, even when it was painful, because it admitted mistakes publicly instead of hiding them, and because it made bold bets when the future was uncertain. The irony is that Netflix's biggest mistake did not kill the company. It forced it to evolve. Most businesses fail because they cling to what once worked. Netflix survived because it let go. And that is the real lesson behind its success. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more real business stories. Because behind every successful company, there is almost always a moment when everything nearly fell apart.